Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unwrapped. Lovely that you can join us on this very wet and windy day. I'm just waiting for everyone to log in, so we'll just wait a few moments and then we'll get started on the session itself. I can see the numbers going up, so that's always a bonus. Here we go. They're going up. That's absolutely fine. A few more moments. Oh, they are going up very rapidly as well, which is good. Fab. 30 more seconds and then we'll make a start. Well, I think we should make a start because we've got a very, very busy schedule ahead of us. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming to Unwrapped. Really lovely that you can join us. If this is your first session, you are very welcome. It's lovely to see you. If you're one of our regular viewers, welcome back. I hope this session is going to be really informative and interesting for you. So Emma, can I ask you to turn to the first slide, please? Lovely. So as always, our Unwrapped sessions are recorded. They are available afterwards, and please don't worry, we can't see you. Your camera is off and your microphone is also muted. So you can hear us, but we can't hear you. This is actually our 11th Unwrapped session. Would you believe it? It's 11 now. You can watch all of them online. They are available on our website and on YouTube as well. So do, have a look at those. There is going to be, as always, an opportunity for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can ask those in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There's a lot of information that we're getting through this evening anyway, so their questions may well be answered as we go through the presentation. But if there's something that you want to ask, can I please also, this session is going to be purely about funding, studies and finance and fees, etc. If you have a question about admissions, about entry requirements, the course itself, please can I ask you to email the admissions team or the inquiries email, and they'll be able to answer your question directly. Otherwise, obviously this session is going to be all based about finance. If you do have any finance questions, absolutely fine, you're more than welcome to ask them. As I said, all the sessions are available afterwards. You can find out all about how to apply in our admissions Q&A, all about the amazing career opportunities, etc. And we're going to be having our student life session as well in May, and more about that as we go through the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Emma and we will start the session. Emma, if you want to start, that'd be great.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Emma Burns, and I'm Chief Financial Officer and Head of Finance and Capital Projects here at Norland. So I just thought it would be useful for you to know a little bit about me and about Sarah, who's in my team, who's joining us. So I'm a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and I've been accountant for around 30 years, which shows my age a little bit. And I also have a master's degree from Oxford Uni. So I've worked in a range of companies and charities all over the world in some lovely places, London, Sydney, and now here in beautiful Bath. So I look after everything to do with finance at Norland, and I also look after our capital projects, which is all about our buildings and our estates. And also I'm part of the senior leadership team at Norland. And coincidentally, when I was young, I actually worked as a nanny. Not a Norland nanny, not a trained nanny, but I worked as a nanny when I was about 19 in France and America. And I had the most amazing time looking after some lovely children. And in particular, in my job in America, I had my own floor of the house, my own car, and I traveled all over the States with the family. And that was at the age of 19. So nannying really is the best job in the world. So that's a little bit about me. And so I'm going to pass you over to my colleague, Sarah, who's a part of the lovely, lovely finance team here. And she's going to just tell you a little bit about herself.
Thanks, Emma. My name is Sarah. I've worked with Norland in the finance office for the last 16 years. I'm responsible mainly for purchase and sales ledgers. I look after all the student loans, helping students to apply and receive their money. I do the staff payroll and all the other day-to-day finance duties in the office. Back to you, Emma.
Thank you, Sarah. So what is this session about? So we are going to look at what exactly are our fees and other related study costs. what you're paying for, and the crucial question, the critical question that everybody asks, how can you fund your studies at Norland? So this slide sets out really clearly what the fees are for the 2024 to 25 year are. So this is for students who are starting at Norland this September. So for UK students, the annual fees are £16,527. And for international students, they're £18,743. And you can see those in the table there. So these fees that you see in front of you are payable for 3 years of study, not for the NQN year, which is the 4th year. So during that year, you're out earning money and working with a family. So fees are paid each term. You can see the amounts there in the box. So unless you're paying by direct debit, and we're going to hear about the direct debit scheme in a bit. So as it says below, fees might rise by up to 5% or CPI, which is basically the rate of inflation, although we try very hard not to raise them as much as that. And then there are some other costs to bear in mind when you're coming to Norland. There's the lifelong support fee, which you can see in the box. That's just payable in the first year. And that's for the support that you get in Norland throughout your career. Then there's that wonderful uniform. So that costs up to £1,000, probably more like £750. And then there are living costs, including accommodation. And I'm going to talk about that. There's a whole slide about that in a moment. You've got some sewing kit and materials, and they're around £120. And then there's membership of our newly formed Professional Association of Norlanders. Now that's £100, but it's £50 for those going into the NQN year. So there's a bit of a discount for NQNs. Okay, and then to look at your living costs, because you've not only got your tuition fees, but you've got living costs while you're here at Norland. So these vary considerably from student to student, but we did a survey in 2022 to 23 to try and find out a bit more about how much students are spending. And this gave us a little bit of information. So students who live at home and commute, so we do have some local students, they spend on average £360 per month. So they're not paying for accommodation. So for those students, it's for travel, for social things and leisure. Okay, but students living away from home and in rented accommodation spend on average £935 per month. Okay, and in the table, you can see how this is broken down. So there's around £550 on accommodation, £100 on bills, just over £100 on food, and then you all have to go out and have a little bit of a good time, even though you'll be studying and working and things like that. But you will have your social activities and some leisure, and then some travelling around while you're in the city. So you've got to, when you're looking at the cost of Norland, you need to factor in that that's how much you're going to be spending as well, just on your living costs. Okay, so that all sounds like rather a lot of money. So now we're going to have a look at a number of things that are available to help you afford Norland. So firstly, we've got our Emily Ward Bursary scheme. And I'm not going to talk about that in detail with this slide. I'm going to look at that in more detail shortly. Then you will probably be eligible for a government tuition fee loan and probably a maintenance fee loan. And that could cover some of your tuition fees and living costs. So students from Commonwealth countries might be eligible for a Commonwealth Society grant. And some students have also obtained grants from other organisations that they might have links with. Now, many students, probably most students, work while they're studying during the holidays, so during term time and during the holidays. And there are plenty of opportunities around Bath and lots of young families looking for nannies and babysitting. And there are even some opportunities in college. And again, we're going to be looking at that in more detail. Okay, so we offer a direct debit instalment plan that Sarah's going to tell you all about. And that helps you spread the cost of your tuition fees. So we do that to help you. And then, of course, it's always good to budget and be really careful with your money. And in the finance team, we're always happy to help. and students come in and sit down with us, and we have a budget template, and we look at the money that you've got, and we try and help you make it go that little bit further. Okay, so now we're going to look in further detail about some more of those things. So we've mentioned the government loan. So the first thing to say, so we can see in this box that the student tuition fee loan for Norland is £6,165. Now that's lower than at a standard public university, and that's because we're not a fee cap provider. So as you can see, there's a shortfall between the fees and the amount of loan that you're going to get. So we always say that that's what you need to know that you can find before coming to Norland, because your tuition fee loan won't cover all of the fees. And Sarah now is going to talk a little bit about the process behind applying for the student loan and the maintenance loan, and about the direct debits.
Okay, so you can apply for your student loan through the gov.uk website. If you go onto their website and search student loans, it should pop up there and you can apply there. You can apply for your tuition fee loan and then also your maintenance loan at the same time. Your maintenance loans are means tested, so they will vary in amount, but they are usually between 4,000 to 10,000, somewhere in between there. You may be eligible for extra funding if you have a disability or a long-term health condition, but again, you can find all this information out on gov.uk/student finance. We usually say that you can start applying for your loans around about the end of February, beginning of March, but we do let all students know and prospective students know when it is ready to start applying. We'll email out to you all. The international students will unfortunately not be able to gain access to the UK student funding. As Emma said earlier, we do a direct debit scheme. So you can see in the second table further on down, this is the breakdown of the payments for our instalment plan. So we split term 1 and term 2 over 3 months. So if you don't have a bursary, these are how much your fees will be over those 3 months. So term 1, we will take on the 1st of October, the 1st of November and the 1st of December. And that for the UK students, it would be £1,433 per month. And the international will be £2,193. Then term 3 is slightly lower and is only split over 2 months. So that would be taken on the 1st of May and the 1st of June. And the amounts for UK is 1,213 and international are 3,124. Further information on all of the above can be found on our website at norland.ac.uk/finance and bursaries. Back to you, Emma.
Thanks, Sarah. So I mentioned earlier about the Emily Ward Bursary scheme. So we do have a number of bursaries. So we offer a limited number of £10,000 bursaries and also a limited number of £5,000 bursaries, and some one-off uniform bursaries of £500 in the first year. Now, if you receive a bursary, you get that for all 3 years of study. So the bursaries are means tested, so they're tested according to household income. And also we have some widening participation criteria. So these are things that are designed to help people who might otherwise really struggle to come to Norland to be able to come. It might be something like the area that you've grown up in, or the school you've been to, something like that. And you can find out more about those in the bursary policy, which is on the website. So all offer holders are sent a bursary application form. And the deadline this year for submitting the form is the 1st of April 2024. And we assess the bursaries as soon as we can after that, pretty quickly, and we aim to get back to the applicants within a few weeks. But to stress that the competition for bursaries is very tough. So around 25% of our students receive a bursary, which is actually very high relative to other universities, but around 2/3 of students apply for them. So we always say, make sure you know that you can afford to come to Norland without relying on the bursary. Okay. So that's just a interesting fact, that we have awarded in the last 5 years almost £1 million in bursaries, and we're always trying to increase that. We pay for our bursaries through our commercial activities, so whenever we can, we put more money into our bursaries, but we're very proud that we've put £1 million into our bursaries. And around like I said, 1 in 4 students receive a bursary, which relative to other universities is very high. Also, as I mentioned before, there are lots of opportunities to work while you're at Norland. So we've got our student job shop, and we also partner with the marvellous babysitting app. And both of those, like I said before, provide lots of opportunities for babysitting and nannying in the Bath area. Always lots of demand for Norland students, and even opportunities to work in college. So we've got charity reps, librarians, we've got brand ambassadors, and then our SSLC, our Staff and Student Liaison Committee. So lots of students also work within college. And there's the statistics. So most of our students, the vast majority work, as you can see, and this is from our 2022 to 23 survey. So we learned that 84% of students work during term time, with an average hourly rate of £11 an hour. And they worked on average 12 hours per week. And 94% of students, so nearly all of our students, work during the holidays, so mostly in childcare roles at an average of £10.50 per hour for babysitting and nannying, and working all over the world as well in amazing places, especially in the holidays. So those sort of enviable jobs working overseas, we all wish we could all go and do that. So lots of opportunities to work, definitely. But again, we always stress not too much during the week, because you'd be very, very busy with all those assignments and all that work during college, but lots of opportunities to work at weekends and in holidays as well. So you might well ask yourself, this is a lot of money, and Norland is expensive. So how is it spent, and will I get value for money? So the first thing to mention, most important, is that Norland is owned by a charity. So our parent charity is the Norland Foundation. So we are not all sitting around and making money for shareholders. We are not for profit, owned by a charity. So our student bursaries are funded by our commercial activities. So we do make a little bit of profit or surplus from our Norland agency and our consultancy work. And our aim with that is always to be able to increase our bursary provision. Now, all of your tuition fee income goes back into funding the course. We don't make any money at all from that, not at all. And so some of the unique features of coming to Norland and why it's worth the money, why it's good value for money. So firstly, you study for not just one, but for 2 distinct qualifications. So there's our award-winning degree, but also the prestigious Norland diploma over 4 years, and all the support that you get throughout that 4 years. And also we're a centre of excellence. So we won TEF Gold in 2023. And if any of you have already been to Norland or are coming soon, you'll see all the TEF Gold banners everywhere. We love to advertise that. We won the overall and also in 2 aspect ratings. So we're very, very proud of we are really the centre of excellence for this subject. And so like I said, the fees are what they are, but you come out with 2 qualifications, and you are coming to literally the best place to do this, to study this subject and to get these skills. Okay, then, so what actually do you get for your money? What does your money buy you? So firstly, we're not a huge impersonal uni where nobody knows each other. So we're a small, close-knit community where everyone is completely dedicated to what they're doing. We have very high levels of face-to-face teaching. So you will not be sitting in huge impersonal lectures. We've got small class sizes, and you will know all of the tutors personally. And that means as well that nobody hides and doesn't turn up to lectures. We all know each other, and we know who's in classes. And so you've got to be happy that you're coming to that kind of uni and not a sort of big impersonal uni. That's what we're like. We're a small community. So you will learn specialist skills for life. I mean, where else would you learn these kind of things? Cooking, sewing, professional skills and communications. And trust me, I have tasted the cakes that come out of the Norland Bake Off. And you could not buy a professionally made cake in any baker in the country that was better than those cakes. And the mayor comes to judge them. The mayor asked to come and judge them because he loved the cakes, the previous mayor, because he couldn't stay away from those cakes. And then a large amount of your time, or 40% of your time, is actually spent in placement. So a vast array of placements. So with families, with schools, with nurseries, hospitals. And so during that time, you're supported by our specialist placements team as well. So that, again, is a lot of your tuition fees. Some of your tuition fees will go into providing that. Then you've also got our value-added curriculum, which all of the staff are always wanting to come and help out on these things because they're so amazing. Pediatric first aid, self-defense, cybersecurity, the advanced driving skills, which the press always like to call evasive driving, I think, but which is really advanced driving carefully, and various guest lectures. It's an absolutely sort of colourful array of things that you'll be studying. And then not only that, but something I am not sure exists anywhere else, and not in other universities, is the actual the range of things that we teach our third years about going into the world of work. So during the end of the third year, you spend 8 weeks in an intensive employment course. So we call it employment weeks, and that's to make sure you are absolutely ready to embark on your NQN year as somebody in paid employment. And look at the range of things that you get to do in this year. This is incredible. Baby massage, children with food preferences. You go up to London and do orientation, finding all these different spots in London, because a lot of our students or a lot of our alumni go and work in London. Bereavement coaching. You get me coming in and boring you about payroll and contracts, although I have people say that is actually really useful. And etiquette and social interpersonal skills from Debrett's. So all of those things to help you go out into the world of work. So that is quite amazing. Okay, and then in your fourth year, obviously you're going out into paid employment as an NQN, as a newly qualified nanny. So as I pointed out before, there aren't any fees payable in this year. Okay, so we have our dedicated NQN team to help you with applications and with job interviews. So you're not just out there on your own doing those things, scary things like job interviews. You've got that team to support you. And then once you've qualified, once you've completed that year, you are a fully qualified Norland Nanny. And then at that point, you have got to look forward to these things. Your own exclusive employment agency for the rest of your career, with more jobs than there are Norland Nannies to fill them. So the pick of those jobs. Above average graduate salaries, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. Loads of opportunities for ongoing training and development, CPD with Norland, and membership of the Professional Association of Norlanders. Now, this slide I always find really interesting. It's our salaries. And they're split. I'm not going to talk through them all, but just to point out a few, and they're split. You can look at them afterwards. I think you'll get the slides afterwards to look at. Yeah, Kate's nodding. So it's split between London daily, London residential. So have a good look at this afterwards. Home counties, daily and residential, and then the regions, and then overseas. So just to look at that, the second column along, That's your first year as a qualified Norland Nanny. And the lowest salary on there is £31,500, that is not a low salary. That is an incredibly good salary for somebody who is just qualified. Oh, sorry. For somebody who is just qualified. Okay, so that's if you're residential. So you would be earning that living in with a family where you wouldn't have any rent, and that is just your spending money. And then in the last column, so that's 8 to 10 years experience. Oh, sorry, I was going to say the second column as well. The highest for somebody who's newly qualified is £51,500 for working overseas. And then the last column, which is 8 to 10 years experience, the lowest is almost £47,500, and the highest up to £124,000. That's working overseas, and that would be working very, very hard. But that could be residential. And we have Norlanders who qualify, and they go and do those kind of jobs for, even if it's for a fairly short time, on a temporary basis, and they work and earn those salaries and save up, pay off all their student loans, maybe save for a house. So those, have a good look at that chart afterwards, and you will be amazed at the salaries that Norland nannies can be earning. And then this is just, how do Norland nannies compare after 5 years with their salaries? And this again is just incredible. So a Norland nanny could be earning £60,000 after 5 years. That is actually above medicine and dentistry, economics, law, and then all those other degrees. Now, that's not to say that in years and years after that, medicine and dentistry wouldn't catch up, because once somebody is a consultant doctor, obviously they're earning lots and lots of money. But it's still indicative of just how much higher Norland nanny salaries are compared to other graduates. So that's it from me. So I'm going to pass you over now to one of our lovely students, Jess, and she's going to talk to you about her own experience with funding herself.
Hi, so I'm Jess. I'm part of Sec 46. So I'm a second year student here at Norland. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Rugby in the West Midlands. I put a lovely photo of me with the Birmingham Bowl just for context, because nobody really knows where Rugby is. And before coming to Norland, I did A-levels in French, history, English language and textiles. So I didn't come from a childcare qualification. I come from a very academic background. And why do I love being a student here at Norland? So I have great friends, there are great opportunities both outside of Norland and after we qualify. We have amazing lecturers here and an overwhelming amount of support. So if you're ever struggling academically, financially, anything, that everyone here is happy to help. And there is a real homely feel, which was really important for me moving so far from home, because everyone knows you and everyone is willing to help in any way that they can. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask. And so please can I have the next slide? So here are some experiences I've had whilst I've been at Norland. So I am a buddy, so alongside one of my friends, we have first year buddies. I'm also one of the student ambassadors for this year. And I really enjoy that because I'm able to talk to prospective students with any questions they may have. I've also been doing some Makaton work for a local children's choir, so I've been doing providing the Makaton for their new songs, their new album, which has been really exciting. I've also appeared on BBC Breakfast last year, and I was talking about I was trying to raise awareness of selective mutism as a disability and a health condition. In May, I'm very fortunate to be speaking at the Global Selective Mutism Conference, which is very exciting, and that's going to be held here at Norland. Also, every open day, I co-run the charity stall, which is always very exciting and always very lovely to meet lots of prospective students. Every month, I co-run my own rainbow units. That's a girl guiding for children aged 4 to 7, and that's here in Bath. I'm also a qualified Makaton tutor, so I really enjoy teaching Makaton as well. And also I've been fortunate to write a blog for the student website, Norland website, on how to fund my studies. Please can I have the next slide? So how I do fund my studies, so I receive a student, a Gov UK and tuition fee loans. So I received the 6,000 tuition fee loan. I also receive a maintenance loan of 10,000 because I come from a low income background. I receive the highest maintenance loan, which does cover my rent and it covers my costs and my bills as well. So I'm very fortunate. I'm also very fortunate to receive a full Emily Ward Bursary, which I feel extremely happy about, because without that I wouldn't have been able to come to Norland. So that's very exciting. And also last year, when we had the cost of living crisis, they also offered a student hardship fund. So students were able to apply for an additional £1,000 to see us through the cost of living crisis. So that was also extremely beneficial. And yes, I've also included some of the jobs that I've had whilst I've been at Norland. So I am a qualified gymnastics coach, and I coach weekly here at a club in Bath. I specialise in special educational needs, so I have been fortunate to have a variety of special educational needs nannying jobs, including working with a boy with cerebral palsy, and I've also been doing weekly school runs, daily school runs with a boy aged 10. I'm a regular nanny for a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I see them 5 times a week. I've also been fortunate to do some holiday nannying, and that was really exciting. So me and my friend got to go to Anglesey in Wales, and we got to look after 6 children, and that was very exciting because I got to use my SEN experience outside of the home environment, and as well as having lots of fun on the beach and lots of barbecues. And I've also been fortunate to be approached by a high profile family, and I've had the confidence and skills to work with a high profile family in the summer holidays. So that's my experience. And the photos on the slide are, I was fortunate enough to go to Cardiff at Christmas, which was very nice because I love celebrating my Welsh heritage. And also in the bottom left, I went to a theatre at Christmas, and I got to go to a theatre in Bath for the first time. That was very exciting, and I love going to live theatre. That's one of my passions. And then also the other photo on the bottom right of the screen was me in a recording studio recording the Makaton for the Voices for Life Children's Choir. So that was a really great experience, and I learned a lot. And I will now pass you on to another student, Mimi, who will tell you about her experiences.
Thank you, Jess. Hi everyone, I'm Mimi. I am in my first year at Norland, and I'm 20 years old. I'm in Set 47, obviously, and I'm originally from the Isle of Wight. And before coming to Norland, I actually had 2 years out and did a lovely job just to earn some money and enjoy coming to Norland. I did my A-levels in art, photography and psychology, which I really loved all of them. I'm a really creative person, and I really loved that with the aspect of like sewing and the diploma at Norland, I could apply my creative side to my studies while here. So, well, like I just said, why Norland? That's one of the reasons I chose Norland. But Norland also have such fantastic opportunities, not only for now with jobs, but also for the future. It has such high quality training. I really love that we're just given such a caring environment to be in. And I also personally, I've come from a very royalist family, and I really loved like the tradition of Norland and how it's kind of, you know, royal nannies, and that was something that really spoke to me and really encouraged me to choose Norland. So far I am the deputy head of Set 47, which is really exciting. It was, obviously coming in very new, and you don't know what to expect, and I didn't know people that well, so I was really honoured to be elected for that, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I've also learned to sew, which I thought I never would do. I thought I'd really struggle with it. I feel like it's quite fiddly, and I'm in art, I was always more of an abstract painter, so I really enjoyed learning how to sew. I really also enjoyed just living independently, finding some new friends, finding a sense of self, being able to explore all the clubs that Norland offer, all the extracurriculars, exploring things here in Bath, and I've loved that, and I've made amazing friends living where I live and at Norland as well. And also it's been so incredible, the placement opportunities I've had already. I was in the baby room for my very first ever placement, and I've never been with babies, so that was just so exciting to have like my first placement kind of being my dream first placement. And I'm really looking forward to my upcoming placement in a primary school and in the maternity ward. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So how I funded my studies at Norland. So like I said earlier, I actually took 2 years out. I applied for Norland in my first year of my gap year, and I fell in love with my job so much that I decided, what harm can another year do at my job, because it just gave me an extra year where I really worked hard and I saved lots of money. I put a lot of my money away. I worked in the holidays, and I was a nursery assistant at the school I actually grew up at. So I went right to sixth form, and then I went right back to the start at the nursery. I really loved my job there. I had amazing colleagues. You can see in some of the pictures, sorry about that, you can see in some of the pictures that there's pictures of me with my colleagues, or pictures of me, some of the tough trades that I did, and some of the things I was trained while I was there, which I loved. And alongside working in the nursery, it was a term time only nursery, so I gained great experience talking to parents and made friendships with parents that I then ended up working for in all the holidays. And I also did term time work, so I would do some like school pick up and drop offs with some of the children in my nursery. And you can see the pictures of the two lovely boys. They were actually in my nursery and ended up for 2 years both being my main nannying charges, on and off separate families, but they pretty much became one family because I had both of them, and it was just such a lovely experience. I still nanny for them now in the holidays, and they mean a lot to me. They're really special. I also did lots of babysitting, again just saving all the pennies where I could. I was also additional support to funding my studies. I've been really lucky. I have had my parents' support, and I know that's not always the case that everyone's parents can support them financially as much, but I'm really fortunate. My parents kind of saved money for me, and when I didn't end up going to university at 18, it kind of gave me an extra chance to really add on to that university savings pot that I was lucky enough to have waiting for me when I started at Norland. Obviously I still take my student loan. That's really important for me to fund the fees overall every year, and I also have the maintenance loan. And because my parents are generous with how much they can give me, I don't get as high of a maintenance loan, but it's still such a help and such a support. It's taken a weight off my shoulders being here, getting used to first year, getting my head around moving out, and just being able to settle in and not have to worry too much about money in the first year. It's definitely something I want to maybe start to learn budgeting a little better, and that's been a learning curve so far, but I have only had 5 months here, so I'm on the right track. And I also do odd jobs just to like top up little bits of money. I'm really enjoying the Marvellous Babysitting app since we got on that in the new year as first year students. I've had quite a few jobs from there, and I really love all the families that apply for there. They're lovely Norland families, and yeah, I've really enjoyed that. Could I have my next slide, please? So I do have a bit of advice for prospective students. Obviously these sessions are so great and really helpful, but it's definitely one of those things that when you get there, sometimes it can go over your head because of how daunting the experience can seem and how it can be. But please don't let it being daunting or the finances put you off Norland, because the financial support team have been so helpful, especially, you know, for me, I've really felt supported by them. And obviously, as it was spoken about earlier, there's great bursary opportunities, work opportunities with the job shop to help support you financially during your time at Norland, and the Marvellous Babysitting app. And I think you just really, like I put there, the bigger picture, you need to look at the bigger picture. There's so, you know, sometimes I've worked so hard for 2 years, and seeing that money kind of drain quite quickly was really like, oh, at first, and I thought, oh my gosh, all that money I've saved. But I keep reminding myself of why I'm doing it, why I worked hard for that money, why I chose Norland, why I came here, and what it will pay off for me in the future. It's not always easy. It is so worth the hard work. It's very true. Just keep working hard, keep motivated. The motivation of those amazing families, those lovely children you're going to be with, and the great salary is really motivating for me, and I know lots of other people at Norland the same. And do consider all your options. You know, it's not always common to have 2 years out, let alone 1 year out before people go to uni. For me, it was just what worked for me. You know, there was a lot of judgment from people around me when I was in my first gap year that I then deferred my place for a second year. People were saying, why not go now? Why not get on with it? And I just thought, no, like, I love my job. Norland is still going to be there, and it's going to benefit me in the future. So I definitely would just consider all your options. Don't rule anything out, because Norland will always be here and they will always want you. So thank you very much and for listening to me. And I'm now going to pass on to Beth.
Thank you very much, Mimi. So hi, I'm Beth. I'm in Set 46, another second year student. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Leeds. So I didn't really know what I wanted to study at university, so I just chose my A-levels based off of subjects that interested me, which were maths, psychology, and religion and ethics. A bit of a mix going on. And it was about halfway through my A-levels that I realised I was not ready for university at 18. I still wanted a qualification, so I chose to get an apprenticeship. And I figured, I love maths, I love spreadsheets, so I felt the natural route for me was to actually go into accounting. So I ended up working for an accountancy firm in Leeds for about 5 years before coming to Norland. So I've always been naturally drawn to working with children though. Even when I was a child myself, there's a photo out there somewhere of me. I'm about 10 years old. There's a 2-year-old sat in front of me. I've got a 6-month-old on my lap. I remember there being no other adults around me. Everyone was just happily getting on with the family gathering, and someone's just captioned it, Mother Beth. So childcare's always sort of been with me, and it's always been my passion from the beginning. And so Norland was always on my radar. It was always sort of suggested to me as an option. I was always really hesitant. My main concerns were moving so far away from home, and also the fees. Like, I kept looking at the figures and was like, no, I can't go, I can't pay that. So I always said no. And then it was about 3 years ago, and Norland was brought up in another conversation. And after doing my research and attending open days, speaking to people, I knew it was right for me. I just love Norland. The 2 courses that we get to study is just such a unique aspect that no other childcare qualification can offer me. The opportunities after graduation are amazing, not only the experience and the types of jobs and families you can work for, but as mentioned earlier in this presentation, like, the salaries are fantastic. So it's always just keeping that in your head, like Mimi said, focus on the bigger picture, the end goal. And the support as well that has been given to me from literally the very first phone call when I started my inquiries right up until today in lectures. It's been fantastic. Can I have the next slide, please?
Just bear with me 2 seconds. We've just lost Emma, who was sharing the screen, but I'm just going to hopefully share.
It's the weather, it's the technical issues today. That's what's happened. It doesn't want to play today. But Tilly's on hand help, so she'll be there in a second. There we go.
Is this working for anyone? So sorry about this. Right, apologies. Talk amongst yourselves.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think it's we go forwards a couple?
Forward a bit more, please, Tills.
And again. And
Bring it
again.
more. Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
there.
No
Brilliant.
problem.
Amazing, thank you. So as I said earlier, one of my biggest concerns about applying to Norland was the fees. So I actually spoke to the finance team, spoke to Emma and Sarah, I believe, before I even applied. They were one of my first conversations, and they were such a fantastic help in explaining all of my options and talking me through everything. Definitely put me at ease. So I was lucky enough that when I started working, I also started saving. So that was just for my future, it's for a house down the line. And so I decided that I was going to use them to fund some of the fees. I was also extremely fortunate to receive the Emily Ward Bursary. It is means tested, and so I did benefit from coming from a low income single parent family. So I have some benefits to that sort of thing. And with the widening participation as well, being a mature student, that did weigh in on the decision. I also received the student tuition loan from the government. And with all of them, I think I was still a little bit short. And so I decided I was going to get myself a part-time job in a supermarket. So that's my name badge. If you can figure out what supermarket is and you see me when I'm working, come say hi if you recognize me in my lovely hat. So I paid my fees by direct debit, and so this allowed me the time to work and start saving up for the fees later on in the school year. I wasn't covered by bursary loans and savings. So this job, it also paid for my living costs. So I received the government maintenance loan, which covers the majority of my living costs, so my rent and my bills and groceries and everything. My job just gives me a nice little buffer to fall back on. So for birthdays, when it comes up to Christmas, or if I've just had a particularly spend heavy month for whatever reason, it's a nice sort of safety cushion really there for me. I also know that a lot of people use the Norland job shop to get their childcare jobs, or they have found nannying jobs from elsewhere, which is really good and really works. It was one option for me. I really like the opportunity. I like the opportunities that my job at the supermarket provides to sort of interact with adults, make friends outside of Norland, and to sort of forget about assignments for a few hours each week. While I love studying at Norland, it is nice that it isn't all encompassing and it's not my whole life. I do have other people I can go to. I also use the Marvelous Babysitting app. It has been extremely helpful at getting ad hoc babysitting jobs. So you get really good experience, a whole range of ages of children. You can start building up good reputations with families around Bath and London and local areas. And a good thing as well is that families can leave you reviews. So you can start building up sort of a background of evidence that can always support like your CV and going forward in the future. I also really like it, evening babysitting, because once the children are asleep and before the parents come home, your time is your own. So I often brought my laptop and I worked on assignments. So it was effectively a free evening that I was getting paid for. I do also know that people have kept in touch with their placements that they've been on. So from first year, when they've been in nurseries and schools, they've then gone back and they're now bank staff at nurseries. So they work there Fridays and evenings. Some people help out with after school clubs. And me personally, I've already babysat twice for my most recent placement family. And I've got some more jobs lined up with them as well. So it's just a lovely way to keep in touch with the children and the staff and families, and just an extra bit of spending money. So onto my budgeting top tips. Spreadsheets. I am extremely biased because I love them and I worked with them for 5 years, but they are an extremely helpful tool. You can get loads of pre-made budget spreadsheets online. They can be as complicated as you want, or you can make them really, really simple. I've included on this slide an example similar to the one that I use personally, with just some rough figures put in there, just so you can get an idea of where to start. So with the spreadsheets as well, the budgets, I found it really helpful to give myself a monthly allowance or a wage. So when you receive the government maintenance loan, it comes in one large amount. and that's meant to last you for the 4 months. I didn't want to end up in the trap of spending it all in the first month and then not having enough money to pay my rent for the next 3. So I have it set up so that I move a big lump sum into one account, and then at the start of each month, I transfer like my monthly wage into my account that I can then spend from. So this means even if I decide to spend a little bit more, I know that I will always have enough to cover my rent for the next few months, which I found to be really helpful. Now as well, if you don't want to use spreadsheets, if you don't want to use a monthly budget or anything like that, I would really recommend though writing down all the essential payments that need to come out. So your rent, bills, grocery, any subscriptions that you pay for music, TV, anything that has to be paid every month, just so that you know how much money you're paying out, and then that can give you an idea of how much you need to be earning and where you might need to sort of boost it and top it up if needed. So that's one of my top tips. Definitely just have an idea, even if you don't use a budget going forwards, just to have an idea of where to start. And then as well, don't forget to budget in for fun. Norland is busy, but you will absolutely have time to go out, explore Bath, have hobbies, have fun. So definitely budget in for fun and make sure that you've got enough money to go out and enjoy your time. The finance team have been really helpful. They can help you make budgets. They can help you work out where you could possibly cut some costs, how you could earn some more money if you need to. So I would definitely say if you're worrying about anything financial, money-wise, just go straight to them, and they've been really, really helpful for me. So that's me done. I will pass it back to Kate now for our questions and answers if we've got any.
Brilliant. I love a spreadsheet. I'm not sure many people do, but I do love a spreadsheet, and I think that's some really, really good advice, actually, to be honest. I think all 3 of you have given some fantastic experiences, and I think there's a lot of information that people can kind of, you know, really look at and find out, you know, it is a possibility for people, which is really, really good. And I think, you know, you helping that is, you know, could answer a lot of questions. We don't have a huge amount of questions, which means that a lot of the information that we've given is actually been answered, those questions, which is really, really good. But I do have a couple of questions, actually. So for you 3, one of the questions we have been asked is about what do you kind of recommendations for things like discount cards and apps and things like that. Obviously the marvelous babysitting app we have, etc. Are there anything other than that that students in general can use as well? Because I think actually that's quite important. So Jess, I want to start with you. That would be really good if you could give us a little bit of insight. That'd be wonderful.
So I use a lot of supermarket like club cards and loyalty cards. So they're really good for discounts. If you do your regular shop at a specific supermarket, then they'll send you vouchers, and they'll also it'll help definitely with budgeting. But then I've also found a new app which I explored. I've recently just written another piece for the Norland website, and in that I explored the app of Too Good To Go, which is a fantastic food waste app, and it allows you to collect surplus food waste from different cafes and different shops around your local area, and I found that really significant in helping cut down my food costs.
Excellent. Mimi?
Yeah, so there's really great apps that you can get as a student. So there's Student Beans and Uni Days. And I actually used those even before I came to Norland, because I was the school I worked at allowed me to use my work email as I was a student nursery helper. Mm-hmm. So that applies. There's hundreds of brands it applies to. It can apply to food, takeaways. It can apply to clothes shops, home shops. Like when I did my big move to Bath, even things like places like Apple or Dunelm, stuff like that, they do like a month of student deals. So like I actually left a lot of my home shopping, you know, things like ironing board, whatever else, things like that I'd need, I left it until September, because Dunelm then did like 20% off for just that month for new students.
Dunelm's my favorite place in the world, so yes, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, we're Dunelm kitted out here. And then lots of like Apple as well. If you're looking, like I was really worried about getting an iPad or a laptop for Norland. It's not essential, they always say that, but like it's really great time if you are thinking of doing it, buy it like the week you move to Bath. And if you go into the Apple shop, they have like laptop and iPad deals on the student Beans and student uni days app for like 15% off, stuff like that. And that was obviously off of electronics. That is such a big chunk of money that comes off that you can think I can put that towards something else. And also I am quite a clothes shopper, so it does help me save money here and there, like Black Friday deals. They do extra for students and loads of cafes in town. It's all on the apps, and they're the two best apps that I would definitely recommend.
I know, I'm frantically writing those down actually, to be honest. What about you, Beth?
Yeah, so I would definitely say Too Good To Go as well, take advantage of that. I was going to say uni days as well, fantastic, but most shops as well, they do a student discount even if you don't have a membership card or anything. So keep your Norland ID on you and you can go into shops.
Especially if you're from Norland. You say I'm a Norland Nanny and they'll go, oh well, we'll give a Norland Nanny a student discount. They do a lot.
Yeah, so definitely any shop you go into, just
isn't it?
Yeah, just ask, and most places will offer, I think it's between like 10 to 20% student discount. So yeah, keep your ID on you and definitely take advantage of that as well.
Definitely, I think that's a great bit of advice. Another question that we've got, obviously we've mentioned about the student job shop, etc. What type of jobs are available through the job shop? Would you be able to kind of elaborate on what type of jobs we get through them?
Yeah, so I'm happy to start this one. Okay. So there's sort of school drop off and pick up. So Norland, their timetable is worked so that we as students can go and take children to school if you have a car, and that you can also pick them up from school at the end of the day. So you find a lot of those types of jobs, helping the parents out. There's regular nannying jobs on evenings and weekends. I believe there's also babysitting, evening babysitting jobs that I've seen on there. Have either of you guys got any more on there?
Yes, so I can add that there's lots of holiday jobs. So especially around Easter, jobs will start popping up for the summer, and there are some amazing locations on there. I know people who have gone to Italy and to people who have gone abroad over the summer. There's fantastic opportunities on there. And yes, just add more regular, just if you want 2 or 3 times a week, or if you want a daily job, there's a wide variety on there. And also on the student job shop, they've got advice on how to write contracts and how to support you, so everyone knows the expectations, and so it's a really great platform to use.
Yeah, I was going to add there's also really good, like sometimes there's like just one-time jobs, but it would be things like a wedding. Like there's been a few recently where it's been they're wanting 2 Norland nannies for one day of a wedding, or that kind of job, and they're really good because obviously it's just like a one-time payment. You know what you're getting paid. You know, you could, you know, I think with where you have 2, they usually like to hire like people who are friends, and that's a really nice type of job. There's been quite a few of those pop up recently, and also they're quite good at they're not always just like in and around Bath. Like Jess said, you can do them abroad, or like one of my friends is from Newcastle, and there was one that was like traveling with the children from Bath to Newcastle, and so obviously she would then just go home for the weekend, and like that's, you know, it's kind of all over the place, but they do work in really well with Norland times, so there's quite a lot of different opportunities dependent on what suits you.
Great, thank you very much for that. Emma, you're back. I've got a couple of questions for you, if that's okay. One of them is about well, actually a couple of them are about bursaries. So are bursaries available to students from the Channel Islands?
Yeah, sorry about that as well. I think the connection dropped and it just kicked me out. So, but I managed to get back in, so that's fine. Are bursaries available to students from the Channel Islands? That's an interesting question. I am not sure. I might ask Sarah if she knows. Otherwise, I would have to check and go back.
Yep, no problem.
Sarah,
Okay. So, are we talking about Emily Ward Bursary? Are we
I
talking?
think so, yes, I think it's
student
Emily Ward
loan?
Bursary, yeah.
So, an Emily Ward Bursary is actually available to all students, no matter where they're from.
Yeah.
Student loans, I think some of the Channel Islands, like Jersey, Guernsey, they do still get student loans. But if you go on the gov.uk website, there's actually a link for people from the Channel Islands, so they can go on there and have a look to see what they would be entitled to.
Brilliant. That's answered that question. Sarah, this is for you. This is about the student loan forms. So when are the housing and student loan forms due in for starting in 2024? Does that make it? Would you be able to answer that one?
Sorry, can you say the beginning bit again?
Yeah.
The student.
When are the housing and student loan forms due in for starting in 2024? So what are their deadlines that they need to have information to you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get the student loan portal open soon. We are working on that as we speak. So as previously said, we will email out to let people know when they can start applying. Student loans will give a deadline date of May, round about the end of May, for these forms to be in. But this isn't a deadline that if you don't make it by then, you won't get a loan. This is just a deadline that they will guarantee that your loan will be ready in time for September. Mm-hmm. So I have had students before now actually apply when they first come in September, and they still get their loans. Right. So they can actually still access the loans whilst they're in college. So as long as they, you start an application as soon as we tell you, then it should all run quite smoothly.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. I've got time for one last question because we're running over anyway. This is just to the students, actually. If you could give one piece of advice, obviously when it comes to funding your studies and finance for prospective students, what would it be? And that could be applying for a bursary. You've just got as much chance as anybody else. What kind of advice would you give them, like your top tip, really? Jess, where we want to start.
Jess, if you want to.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so my big piece of advice, which I give to any prospective student I talk to on the Ambassadors platform, is don't be put off if you're from a low-income background. So Norland is very inclusive and open to everyone. So if coming to Norland is your dream, then it is possible and you can make it happen. I'm from a council estate and I've managed to get here. Everyone can.
Yeah, along the same lines, like, don't let the fees put you off. There are a lot of options out there for helping you with them. And if you are genuinely struggling, Norland, there's so many different options to help you out. So definitely apply for anything you can. Sort of don't half-heart your replies. Definitely go for it, sell yourself, put as much effort as you can. And really, if you're going for a bursary, don't just put, I would like a bursary, please. Really sell why you would like it, how it would help you, and just go for it. Yeah, don't let it put you off.
I would probably say, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but if you really feel that like money is something you're a bit worried about and you maybe want to support yourself a little bit more, a year of experience. There are so many nurseries who are always understaffed, looking for part-time help, families who are looking for babysitters. You can have an amazing year out and earn some great money, gain loads of experience. Like my Norland experience would have been totally different if it wasn't for the amazing 2 years I had prior to it. You can earn that money, put it in your savings, and there's so many opportunities to just get those little bits and set yourself up so you feel confident from the start and don't put the pressure on yourself, because it was just such a wave of relief for me, and I think lots of other people would have had that same experience.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Thank you. Emma, could you just turn to the last slide and we'll just point you in some direction of some up and coming events, if that's okay? Lovely. So we have our open days. I highly recommend booking onto our open days just to come and find out for yourself all about Norland. You'll get to hear from our students, you get to speak to staff, you'll see the finance team, and it's a really good way to find out whether Norland is for you. You'll be able to have cake, which is really good. And there's obviously the one coming up in May is the next one. We've got one in October. We're also going to have a Student Life Unwrapped. We had one last year, which was really popular. So we decided to add it permanently to our Unwrapped program. So the next one will be on Wednesday, the 1st of May. Bookings will go live for that quite soon. So do join us for that as well. I do recommend having a look at all the events, all the previous Unwrapped sessions, and also join the mailing list, because that will give you the most up-to-date information. You'll hear all what's going on at college. You get to have top tips and, you know, important dates that are coming up as well. So that's all for this evening. I want to say a massive thank you to Sarah and Emma from the finance team, and also our wonderful students, Jess, Beth and Mimi. They've been wonderful. Some of you guys are obviously on the brand ambassador, on the TAP ambassador platform, so you're more than welcome to talk to them outside of this session. They would love to hear a voice. There's no such thing as a silly question, as we say to prospective students, because there isn't. They're all in the same position that you guys were, you know, 1 or 2 years ago. So do, you know, interact with us. We'd love to hear your questions. So that's it. The session will be available afterwards if you needed to, you know, leave us and join us again. We'll see you at the next Unwrapped in May. But thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all to the panel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye-bye.